There are 63 national parks in the United States, and they're set aside because of their beauty or uniqueness. But could there be more?
We're Matt and Cheryl, and we've helped thousands of people travel to the national parks in the West, but there are several places in the West that we think are worthy of national park status that are not national parks that you should have on your list.
And they are close to some better known national parks. You may just want to try to squeeze a couple of these in on your next big national park trip. Let's get started.
Okay, number 10 here is Pikes Peak. This is a mountain peak in Colorado that's about 130 miles away from Rocky Mountain National Park. One of the more famous mountain peaks in all of America. In fact, their nickname is America's Mountain. Okay, why this is really cool is that it is a 14er, and there's several 14ers in Colorado. 14ers are mountain peaks that are, their top is above 14,000 feet, their summit. But what makes this unique is that there's a road that goes to the top. So there are two of these 14ers in Colorado that you can drive to the top of. Pikes Peak is one of them, and unfortunately the other one for Pikes Peak is a little bit higher, so Pikes Peak is like the second highest road in America. And so it is really an experience just to drive to the top. Just a fantastic experience. We did both of these within the last 2 years, so we could kind of compare them. They were both super awesome, but man, it is such a fun experience to drive to the top.
And one thing that Pikes Peak has that the other drive doesn't is a cog railway that goes straight to the top. And this is the oldest cog railway in the US and the highest in the world. We laugh because Colorado always has to be the biggest or best something.
Yeah.
So in the cog railway, I actually took this down the mountain. It has great scenery and it is steep. It is so steep. And the crazy thing about Pikes Peak too is that some people actually hike to the top. Like there was another couple on there that were riding it down with me, and they didn't ride up because they had actually hiked to the top of Pikes Peak and they were just hitching a ride down.
Okay, the thing to do at the top of Pikes Peak is to get the donuts. They have a big visitor center up there and a museum, so it's quite a production. Pikes Peak is, and a very, very fun thing to do. All right, let's move on to number 9 here, which is its counterpart that I was referring to earlier, and this is Mount Blue Sky. So this one is the highest paved road in America. And the peak reaches, again, over 14,000 feet, and it is only 70 miles away from Rocky Mountain National Park, so a little closer. Both of them are within, a decent drive from Denver that you can reach pretty easily.
And this drive was so memorable. As you go along this road, there is really not a barrier between you and rolling off the mountain. So scary, but amazing views, because you also hit the tree line where trees can't grow anymore because it's so high. So you really can see forever and ever and ever. We came across Summit Lake, which was really weird. There were all these little holes in the ground filled with water, and they're called glacial cirques. And it reminded us of the dead marshes at Lord of the Rings. But that was a cool little stop on the way to Blue Sky. We loved it.
And the other thing that was really great about Mount Blue Sky was seeing the mountain goats up at the top. So this has kind of an interesting story, because when you get up to the summit of Mount Blue Sky, it used to be called Mount Evans, by the way, and it changed the name to Mount Blue Sky just a year or two ago. But when you get up to the summit there used to be a restaurant there, but that restaurant burned in like the 70s, and they've never replaced it or torn it down or anything like that. So it's just the remains of the restaurant. They call it the Castle in the Sky, which is kind of interesting. And the mountain goats just walk all around the castle.
It's like they rule the castle. They're like coming in and out of the windows. They're funny.
So that was a really fun part of it that I don't remember seeing at Pikes Peak, the mountain goats. But
yeah, and it's much less established at the top of Mount Blue Sky than it is at Pikes Peak. But
not the touristy experience.
No, but like me and our two oldest sons, we actually climbed to the very top from Mount Blue Sky, and it was amazing. And I got altitude sickness a little bit. Those 14ers are nothing to mess with. They're crazy.
Both of those require reservations to drive, by the way, and both of them are kind of like a joint thing where they're run by the Forest Service and the city. It's kind of a weird little setup. Mount Blue Sky actually they thought that might become a national park one day. And then it ended up not happening for whatever reason. But both of those, fantastic experiences that could be national parks.
Number 8 is in our own home state of Utah, which is Goblin Valley State Park. So what this is these are like mini hoodoos, kind of like what you see at Bryce Canyon, but they're short. They're like 4 to 8 feet or 10 feet tall, and there's hundreds of them in this amphitheater. And you can either just view them from above, or you can go within the little goblins and play hide and seek or Where's Waldo. I mean, these are some very interesting formations and lots of fun.
Oh, one of the most fun places we've ever been. especially we love going there with our kids and playing hide and seek and all that. Now this is actually located between Capitol Reef National Park and Arches, and it's actually close enough to Capitol Reef that initially they thought they were going to include it in Capitol Reef National Park. And again, for whatever reason, it didn't get included in the park. It's kind of like separated off and hard to get to, you know, so whatever, it didn't end up getting included. It's now a state park, but could easily be part of Capitol Reef, probably should have been. And anyway, that's a great one. We love Goblin Valley.
Okay, number 7 is the Grand Staircase Escalante National Monument. Just rolls right off your tongue.
There you go.
And that is also right in Utah. This is a connector between Bryce and Capitol Reef.
The way I describe this one is it's all the land in between Utah's national parks. It's not the most accurate description, but it's actually kind of close, because there is a ton of public land there between Utah's 5 national parks. And a lot of it's just real dispersed, and it has some unbelievable scenery and formations and all this stuff in there, slot canyons and whatever, but they're really kind of spread out. So I think for that reason they haven't created it as a national park, because it doesn't have kind of that straightforward tourist experience. And then also a lot of people don't want it to be a national park because it's kind of valued because it is off the grid. And so you can go like on these backpacking trips and through these slot canyons and whatever. But it could be a national park for sure, but they would have to develop it, and people don't want to develop it.
And Scenic, doesn't Scenic Route 12 go through there?
Scenic Route 12 does go right through Grand Staircase Escalante National Monument. It is the only all-American road in the state of Utah. There are not that many all-American roads in the country, and that's one of them.
Okay, and I'm going to see if I can stump the history professor right here.
Okay.
Okay, so it's a national monument, which there are over 400 national monument type things in the United States. So what's the difference between a monument and a national park?
The National Park Service says there's no difference. We protect them the same either way. But everybody knows the national parks have a higher cachet to them. And
That's it.
Yeah, pretty much.
And I guess how they become a national...
Oh, how they become a national park. Yes, that's a big part of it. So national monuments can be set aside by presidents, which I believe Bill Clinton set aside Grand Staircase as a national monument. But national parks have to be set aside by Congress, which is a much more difficult thing to do. And so it gives it kind of that elevated status. But honestly, like here, just me growing up with my parents, my mom, we have a kind of a goal to go to as many of the 400 plus national park sites in the country, not just the 63 big national parks. We love all of them pretty much equally. So, and this, again, Grand Staircase has some scenery that will match any national park out there. No doubt. It's just harder to get to, and it's more spread out. Okay, number 6 is Valley of Fire State Park in Nevada. And at one point, this was also, they thought this would become a national park as well. It was kind of run by the feds, and then they gave it to the state and whatever. It is a state park now, and it, I think, is appropriately a state park, but it is really, really nice. It's a cool area.
And one of the things I like about it is the swirling red rocks. They've got like this Rainbow Point Trail that has the swirling red rocks, but then it also has like blue plants and green, like you see all these colors. Or there's this atlatl rock that has petroglyphs all over it. Petroglyphs are very common here in the West, but that one is a really cool petroglyph one. I just like, as you drive through the Valley of Fire, there's just all these little stop-offs you can take to do like 1 mile hikes. And I think it's some of the most striking, vivid red rock scenery around. I mean, it definitely, I'd say, is as cool as the Utah National Parks. I think it's really neat.
Well, I don't think it's quite on par. It's not quite as big and majestic. Again, I think it's probably good that it's a state park. The scenic drive is really wonderful, but it's fairly short. And then I love the cactus there, and I love seeing the bighorn sheep there. So.
Oh, and 2 hours away from Death Valley and 2.5 hours away from Zion, if you're in the area. Number 5 is Kuster State Park in South Dakota. Okay, so this is not too far away from Mount Rushmore, only 30 minutes away. And Kuster State Park is awesome. It has cool scenic drives, beautiful mountain lakes, lots and lots of wildlife. I mean, it even has 4 or 5 lodges. Like, there's
I feel like we
national...
rated this one too low, actually.
I know.
This is a fantastic one, and it's surrounded by 6 different national park sites. We've got Mount Rushmore, Badlands, Wind Cave, Jewel Cave, Minuteman Missile, Devil's Tower, and yet it's actually better than all of those, I think. And it's just fantastic because it has the wildlife, the scenic drives, the hiking opportunities, the lakes, the mountains. I mean, it is a gorgeous place, And yeah, that was pretty cool with the lodges. We checked out all the lodges last time we were there, so you can stay there.
Yes, and so we have an itinerary for the Black Hills that covers like all these national park sites, but we like make sure to put Kuster in there because people don't even think about going there because they just see all these national park things. But yeah, Kuster is better than some of these national park sites in the Black Hills.
3 of our all-time favorite drives are there. The Needles Highway is an unforgettable experience. Sylvan Lake is gorgeous. It's located in Kuster State Park, and it's kind of the crown jewel of the Black Hills there. And then last time we were there, we did a chuck wagon cookout in Kuster State Park where they pulled us out into the woods and fed us a delicious steak meal. So, oh man,
And
we love
there's-
Kuster.
and
This
there's-
is criminal that it got rated so low.
I'm a little
No,
embarrassed.
not for you. I looked at the list. We both looked at the list. But actually, Kuster
Kuster
be rated
should
high.
maybe be our number one, but we have a really good number one for you also.
Yeah.
The other thing to know about Kuster is the wildlife. There are tons of bison there and the begging burros.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Those are
mean,
fun.
it's fun.
Yep.
Yeah,
Very
nothing
fun
wrong with Kuster. Everything's good about Kuster.
Okay, number 4 on our ranking here is the Columbia River Gorge. This is in Oregon and really on the border of Oregon and Washington on the Columbia River, where the Columbia River divides those 2 states. The gorge is full of waterfalls. That's what it is all about, is the waterfalls. And there is one road called Highway 30 that connects all these waterfalls. And so you drive on this historic highway from waterfall to waterfall. The most famous waterfall there is Multnomah Falls. And Historic Highway 30 is really interesting. It was one of the first scenic drives in the country, one of the first scenic byways that they built in the entire country. And it was to go show off all these amazing waterfalls in the Columbia River Gorge. And so what that meant, though, is that the whole area kind of got taken up by like private interests and states and Forest Service. It's kind of a weird collection of land there, the Columbia River Gorge is. It could be a national park, I think. It's probably worthy of it. And it is also on the foothills of Mount Hood, which is the tallest mountain peak in Oregon, and a really cool mountain peak, home to the only year-round ski resort in the country, and also the really cool Timberline Lodges there. So this is a fantastic little area. It's pretty close to Portland, and let's see, where's the nearest national park? Do you have
it's
that?
2 hours south of Mount Rainier.
2 hours south of Mount Rainier. Okay, so yeah, you can visit this on a Pacific Northwest trip.
I haven't been to the Columbia River Gorge. I'm making Matt take me back there this year because
Yep.
he went without me last year.
Yep.
But I can't wait to see it. It sounds so cool. And I did go see Multnomah Falls as a kid.
Multnomah Falls is like the second highest or the highest continuously running waterfall in the country, something like that, but it's over 600 feet tall, and there's a 2-tier drop with a bridge going over it. Really, really beautiful, very popular. And yeah, Columbia River Gorge is a beautiful area.
Number 3 is Maroon Bells in Colorado. These are mountains that look like purple bells. They're just beautiful. And then there's lakes and streams and beautiful mountain grass. I mean, it's right by Aspen, Colorado, which is also a beautiful ski town city. But Maroon Bells is gorgeous.
This has got to be one of the most popular Forest Service sites out there in the whole West, I think. So it's run by the Forest Service, and oh man, just the valley of Maroon Bells. There's a lake there, a river running through it, a really beautiful foliage. There's a lot of wildlife in the valley. The walk around it is just a real short walk. It's only a mile or 2 or something like that. But then there's options to hike further in to get closer to the mountain peaks. It is popular enough that you need a reservation now if you're going to visit, I think, before, and after
Certain hours, yeah.
or whatever.
And there's even a shuttle you can pay to go take you there. And what I think is interesting about this is that our good friends, they took their son, like their teenagers, out there, and they paid to do all these fancy activities like e-biking and river rafting, and their youngest kid, who was in high school, said, "Oh, my favorite part of the trip was throwing rocks at Maroon Bells into the lake." Like, I just thought that was so interesting that of all the activities they did, that was the most memorable thing for their son. And Maroon Bells really is pretty breathtaking. We have a big picture of it in our son's room right now. We love it.
Remember how crystal clear the water is there? Really, really beautiful. Maroon Bells, love it. Okay, up next is kind of a hidden gem here in the state of Utah that people don't talk about too much except for the locals, who are going to get really mad at us when we mention it. But
I can see the comments already.
this is called the San Rafael Swell. And this is actually kind of like the Grand Staircase National Monument, where it's just a bunch of land kind of between the national parks, and is really, really gorgeous. A lot of just amazing canyons located in the San Rafael Swell. In fact, there's a spot there called the Little Grand Canyon, and it really does look like the Little Grand Canyon with just some amazing overlooks. So it's a Red Rock area. It's a recreation area. So we actually, in Utah, we don't want it to become a national park because they would cut all that off. But like we went four-wheeling there this year and got out to some really amazing overlooks. Oh, baby, that was great. And there's some fantastic petroglyphs in the park. And then there's a river that runs through it. And there's this really cool bridge that goes over the river. There's a historic bridge there called the Swinging Bridge that's nice to walk out on. A campground right by there. San Rafael Swell is amazing.
Yes, and this last year after we just finished our four-wheeling ride, we went out to the Rochester Panel, which is one of the most famous petroglyphs. And we had it to ourselves. There was nobody else there. We had to hike about a mile to get there, but like such a high concentration of petroglyphs, and they were so vivid. And I just can't believe we get to see those things all the time in this area that we live. And oh man, it was neat.
So much to do there. Camping, off-roading, hiking, just beautiful vistas in the San Rafael Swell. And so that's number 2. And what is number 1 on our list?
Ooh, number 1 is the San Juan Mountains of Colorado.
I put these on par with any national park. I mean, I love this place. It's one of my favorite places of all time to visit. And it's just these really spiky mountain peaks that are fantastic. And then all around are just, the Animas River runs through it. And like the valley is just gorgeous. And so let's see, what do we have? We've got a couple of amazing things to do there. First of all, you got the $1 Million Drive, the $1 Million Highway, which is another All-American road. Colorado has 2 All-American roads. That's one of them. And that thing is amazing to drive on.
Yes. And then the other is to take the Durango Silverton train. Oh my goodness. Now we've done quite a few train rides in the West. Like this was like train ride number 8 for us. And I kind of am hit or miss with the trains. I like them, but I don't love them. But this train ride, like after the 2.5 hours we were on it, I was sad when it was over. And like the whole ride, people were standing up trying to get better views of that Animas River, because that river, when the sun hits it just right, is this turquoise color. And we were there in the fall and all the aspen trees had turned this golden yellow. I mean, it was one of those moments, I want you to put in the comments if you've ever had this experience somewhere else, but where you're just kind of overcome with how beautiful nature is, that you kind of feel like a little tear coming to your eye because you just can't believe something so beautiful exists. That was like one of those moments for me as we went on that Silverton narrow gauge train. Oh my gosh, it was just, I even now I'm thinking about it, I'm like, how can something so beautiful exist?
Oh my gosh, it's got the drive, it's got the train. It's actually close to Mesa Verde, so you can jump over to Mesa Verde National Park from there as well. And then some of our favorite mountain towns are there. So Ouray is called the Little Switzerland of America, and it really is just tucked in this valley. I mean, one of the coolest little towns we've ever been to. Beautiful little box canyon and waterfalls there. And then another town, one of the most famous ski towns in the country, is Telluride. And I just think that canyon there that Telluride is located in is equal to anything we saw in Switzerland, anything we've seen in the national parks. I actually absolutely love it. Really great. We hiked up to Bradaville Falls one time, just had some amazing views there. And then the other thing is there's off-roading in the mountains there too. So this year we rented a four-wheeler and went riding up into Yankee Boy Basin in Ouray, Colorado. And man, love it. Can't get over the San Juan Mountains.
Any spots we missed? Put in the comments. And if you are geeking out on these lesser known beautiful spots, watch our video, 10 great national parks that no one is talking about.
Thanks for watching.